Hey gang, Wes Buck here, Drag Illustrated Magazine, checking in. It's Monday night. It's December 13th, 2021, and we're back for the Drag Illustrated Ride-Along. As you know, we're watching along with every episode of Season 4 of Street Outlaws No Prep Kings. The stars and cars of the No Prep Kings series roll into Tulsa Raceway Park tonight. Hard to believe we're like well over halfway through the season. They're starting to talk about championship implications already. We just heard a little bit from Lizzie and Kai Kelly going back and forth. Well, I guess it's not quite Lizzie and Kai Kelly. It's Lizzie Musey and Kai Kelly, excuse me. But we saw them earlier this year get engaged. So I had to it's just one of those things. But anyways, we're seeing all sorts of championship implications start to unfold. Lots of talk about the season-ending double points race and everything in between. But of course, I want to remind you guys, click like, click share, click subscribe if you're watching along on YouTube. Help us spread the gospel of drag racing in any way, shape, or form. We appreciate it so much. As always, I got the squad with me right here, right now. The ones and only. I got to turn them all off mute. Hold on one second. Mike Carpenter, JT Murder Tundra Hudson, and newly announced, budding on her way up, on the come up, No Prep King star, Paige Coughlin, part of the Jegs family, the Coughlin family, some royalty, absolute royalty in the sport of drag racing. Thanks for joining us tonight, Paige. We're going to have a ton of fun, guys. Mike, JT, you guys, Paige, all of us, we're at PRI 3 days strong. You guys doing okay?
More than 3, yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah, JT started his trek early. JT feels like a week long.
It is.
But that's how I don't think he still gets all the fun in that he wants in that week. So, I mean,
I got to know. I'm going to ask, and I was going to save it till Wednesday. I really was. I was going to save it till Wednesday, but I thought, did you ever go to sleep Saturday night?
I did, but just took a nap.
Are you being honest?
I am.
This dude does not sleep.
I think it was 5 or 5:30 when we, like, Dion was going to the airport whenever I was rolling in. We finally ran out of beer.
Are you serious?
What were you guys doing?
The bar closed, and then I just kept going and grabbing 12 packs out of the truck.
How many 12 packs did you bring?
And just bringing them up to the lounge, and we'd go again. Heck, half those people.
How many did you bring?
I don't know. I had a few back there, and then the cooler. Yeah. And heck,
he hadn't had enough after all we did all week.
You know, some of those Christmas parties that they were having there that night, they came down and joined us too.
I mean, there's people like dressed up super nice. There was so many like something fancy was going down. I was like, they better get JT out of this deal.
Oh, they do that. They do that every
I'm
Saturday
sure
night.
He's not even allowed in JW Marriott on a normal night. And this deal looks like it just got extra fancy. You better get JT out of there.
We were late enough. It was late enough that Glenn Butcher went to bed. If that tells you anything.
Man, that is a harbinger of bad things. If Glenn Butcher
if you outlast Glenn Butcher, like I high-fived him.
I think I need
and told him I was going to bed. I don't know. It was like before midnight, right around midnight. And he looked at me and he goes, "Love you, buddy, but you're a quitter."
I think I got his crown now. You know, like the JW Lounge crown.
I think
future. We're gonna have like a future stars, just like Street Outlaws, a futures class. You're in the JW Marriott Lounge futures class.
But you see, Justin Swanstrom is already 8 seconds into your No Prep Kings career, Paige, and he's talking trash.
He's not.
Paige better learn to speak up.
Oh,
she'll talk. Give her a chance. Yeah, give her a chance. She'll talk.
Appreciate it.
She's a sweetheart, right?
Hey, I'm just happy he's able to come join the show and tune in just like everybody else here. So, I mean, the more people, the better. And it gets my name out there. And, you know, it's been a fun start. You know, it's just the beginning. And it's only going to get better from here.
They're already like writing your name on the wall, on the mirror at Howl at the Moon.
Oh, yeah.
That's where she was talking.
It has begun.
She was talking Saturday or Friday night. We saw that.
Yeah, that happened. And honestly, I've never done something like this before. This is very foreign to me, but man, was it fun. I remember walking out of some hallway and seeing that up there. I'm like, oh my gosh, it actually happened. and immediately called my dad, thinking, "This is it. I'm done. Done." He's like, "No, this is awesome. Keep going. Like you're learning. This is a learning experience. I mean, it can't get any better than that." So I'm like, "Okay," and just kept going. And I found Justin at the bar, and we talked for a little bit. And it's all fun and games, but when we get to the racetrack, that might be a little bit different.
Ooh. I hope. And it's already starting.
This is something that's been on your radar for a while, as far as the whole MPK deal. I think when this deal, Paige has been interning with us at DI. I think she's in her final semester of college, right? Marketing, and so it was a good fit. And I think early on, one of the first things that we talked about was that you and your dad went to, I guess, the first race of this season at National Trail, and you both came away pretty impressed. Is that kind of how this whole deal got rolling?
Yeah. So he went to the National Trail race. I believe I might have still been in school, but we're busy working. But he went there, and he was just blown away by the amount of people that came to the event, were passionate about the racing, excited to see these guys come out and battle it out. But he was like, "I haven't seen that many people crowd that racetrack since I was a kid." And he's been racing there all his life, and that's basically our home track. And just hearing how excited he was about this got me excited, because I know my dad was he fell in love with the sport of drag racing and pro mod, especially just growing up watching him race, and just seeing his eyes light up talking about something that was exciting. It was door cars, it was fast, and people were talking about it. It was hot, and just learning more about that got me really excited. And we decided at the Charlotte National event this year, earlier in the year, the very first one, and I had lost first round of Super Comp. I was down and just not feeling good about it. And, that happens. That does happen. Super Comp's a really tough class to race. And I mean, there's a lot of great competitors over there, but I looked at him and I was like, let's just build a damn door car. Let's just go do it. It's time to make a change. And I warmed up TJ's Pro Stock car, and that's when it hit me. And I'm like, this is what we should be doing. We should be in a door car. And we've talked about it in the past, but never made a move on it. And this year, I think we had our time in NHRA. We were the JEGS All-Star in 2020, and then we runnered up in Super Comp in Division 3 in 2019. And, we had our fair share of that. And I'm like, you know what? No, let's try something different. And I think this is probably one of the best ways to do that, because it's so new. No other Coughlin has ever tried this before. And I'm ready to make it my own and just go up from here, because that's all you can do.
That's awesome.
Well, I think you just kind
mic drop.
You couldn't mic drop. I don't know that you could have done that any better. I'm telling you, somewhere right now, your dad his chest is puffed out. That's my daughter. Woody Woodruff is very excited because, and you know what? It's funny. I was talking to Woody about you last week, and he goes, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of so many of the Coughlin journeys and so many of these big moments. And the rollout of a new driver, or the promotion of a move to a different type of racing or whatever. Your dad's, made waves in the NMCA, the NHRA, Pro Stock, Pro Mod, Pro Street. I mean, and everything in between. Big dog racing once a million years ago. But he said to me, he goes, Paige has impressed me the most. He goes, out of all of them, her first time, he mentioned some sort of, I think it was a charity event that you guys had in Columbus or Delaware. And there was a bunch of people there, a lot of local news media, and they wanted to get you on camera. And he told you, hey, just be yourself and be excited. And you went out and did exactly that. And I mean, I honestly think that this is an exciting thing for the No Prep Kings series, just to get some of our NHRA bloodline moving into that world a little bit. It's cool. What was the feedback? This news started to circulate while we were at the PRI show. I know a lot of the circles you run in, full of heavy hitting bracket racers, you mentioned Darian Bosch in the green room. He was part of our Drag Illustrated 30 under 30 this year, divisional top sportsman champion. What was some of the reaction from those NHRA types when this started to circulate, the show, that you were going to, from what I understand, attempt to run the entire No Prep Kings season in 2022?
Well, I got a lot of, are you crazy? And I said, you know what, I just might be, because we're going and we're doing this. And but I had a lot of support, just from my friends like Tyler Bohannon and Hunter Patton and Darian Bosch and Megan Straswig. I mean, I was all there with them during PRI, and there's plenty more I haven't named, but they showed a lot of support, and they're like, this is extremely different from what you've been doing, and but you're gonna go and have a blast, and don't forget about us. And I was like, I could never. But they were like, yeah, stop by at least a bracket race here and there. I mean, don't be shy, and don't forget us when you get cool. And I was like, I could never, and it's just a different form of racing, and I was at loss for words by the amount of support I had by my friends, and just, they're like, you know what, we want to see you go far and fulfill these dreams of being in a door car. And, it's not pro mod, it's, but I think it's something cooler, different. And, pro mod's a great class, and I always wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps and drive pro mod maybe someday. But I think this is where it's at right now. And, just trying to be myself and start something completely new. And
I think it's cool because you're going to have to, JT's like endorsing this on day one. He's
we all endorse this.
The onset. We all endorse this.
This is a great deal. And I mean, it's impressive. I don't know how much of it is just you being around this your whole life, but I think you're this is your coming out party to the world. You've done the bracket racing, you've been there with your family, but your personality, I think, is already showing through. We've gotten to know you through your internship at Drag Illustrated. And I think, I mean, we can go ahead and endorse it here. I think this is a star in the making.
There's no doubt in my mind, a star in the making. And I think it's cool because to be honest with you, what I find, at least some level, what I find to be the most impressive part of this whole deal is the fact that, and Paige, take this in stride here, but you're part of a royal bloodline, in the sport of drag racing. The Coughlin family, Jegs as a company, what the Coughlins represent, what Jeg represents in this industry is almost unspeakable. It's very difficult to put into terms. And I find it really interesting that there's not, all these rumblings of, hey, we're going to stroke a bunch of checks to make sure that Paige Coughlin's racing against Ryan Martin on day one. No, sir. No, ma'am. You guys are more than willing to do it just like anyone else would have to do it. Dive into the open big tire category and hope to race your way in or make a splash and catch someone's attention over time. And I mean, JT, Mike, we've heard all year long, and actually for several years, like all these NHRA Pro Mod types that don't want to, go through.
Put in the time.
Yeah. They just want to jump right in.
They expect, because they're XYZ racer or because they've accomplished XYZ, that they just need to part the waters and welcome them in.
But that's the magic. That's the magic. That's the magic. No Prep Kings. And I mean, yeah, Sam Corcus was at PRI, and I think
he's everywhere.
He made a huge splash there as well.
He did.
We worked together on a few things, some conferences and stuff. And I think he really opened up to the world as far as, his vision for this whole deal. And like we said from day one, protecting that entity and making sure that is not possible, even for, like we said, like a royal deal like Jegs. If you're a member of the Coughlin family and you're willing to go up through the ranks like this, then come on in. The water's fine for all the rest of the guys.
What does that say?
That's what it says.
There's a couple of things. That's what
it says to me for everybody else. Yeah, right.
I do think, because I think that there's some value from a multitude of levels that this situation brings to the table, right? Because it's going to be great for you, and it's going to be great for Jegs, I have no doubt. But I think it's going to be great for the community to see that no matter where you are on the drag racing totem pole, to break into this world, you're going to have to put in the time. You're going to have to go make those runs. You're going to have to make those cross country tows and struggle and learn a new style of drag racing, something completely outside the realm of, what your dad's racing career or the Jegs pro stock or sportsman history is going to, translate to necessarily. So I think it's really cool. And I think it says a lot about you, Paige, because I'm going to be honest. I think a lot of young women in your position in this day and age and this era of influencers, there'd be some expectation for the most part, like, hey, my family's done a lot in the sport. I don't want to pay the fee. I don't want to stand in line. And I think it says a lot about you guys, Paige. I really do.
Thank you. That was one thing I tried to highlight the most about when I released that announcement of me going to no prep racing, was that, you know, I want to race just like everybody else does. You know, just because I am Jegs or that I am a Coughlin, that doesn't mean I get to go in and race the invitational race. That's not fair, and that's just not how it works. You know, you start out in the future class. That's how it was designed, and that's how it should be done. And I think it just makes it even more rewarding that if we were to get invited up, we worked for it. We proved our worth to be on this show. And it's that much more rewarding to be a part of that. And, you know, I've wanted to stress that to a lot of people, because I've gotten comments about like, oh, well, she's just expecting to go right on up into the invitational class, or she doesn't need to go follow the rules just like everybody else did. And I'm like, no, that's wrong. You know, and like a lot of people can think that, or like think that we would just go right in just because we are Jags, or that I am a Coughlin. But you know, this is a different type of racing. You know, Sam is a great guy. I remember meeting him, and it's such a pleasure. And talking to him and Jim Hughes, you know, I really enjoyed our conversations. But I'm excited to express that I put my pants on, my fire suit pants on, just like everybody else does, whether they're in the future class, whether they're in the invitational class. And I want to race and earn that position on the show just like everybody else has. And who knows how long that'll take. You know, it's up to the guys who are producing the show and running the show. And I'm going to work as hard as I can to get after it and be on that show. But, you know, you got to earn that. And I think that's the coolest part about it, you know, just earning your spot. And I think that's how it should be done. And I'm really excited to be able to show that to people.
Paige,
that's awesome.
You're something else. I don't even know what to say about you right now. It's crazy. I mean, it's a great thing. It really is. And I hope that how this whole deal pans out, just the fact that you're willing to go put in that time and put in that effort and spend the money and tow the miles, I think it's going to create a story. And that's what we really need, is because we've ran into that a lot, where we'll have somebody that wants to, Mike, how many times have we had somebody that wins a bunch of races or comes out and makes a debut in Top Fuel or some super high-end racing series, and they come to us, they're like, oh, you need to put us on the cover. You know, we need to do this. And Mike and I look at each other, JT is like, what's the story? Like,
well, we talked about that today. We actually had
what's the depth of that?
We talked about that on our conference call today. We were planning out some future issues and future features, and we've got a pretty exciting deal in the works. And we were like, what's the criteria for this? Is it just that you win every race, or that your win-loss record is the highest percentage, or you've won the championship? And it's so much more than that. And I think you've got to bring in those elements, the human element to it, and what you do off the track, the way you approach it, your media presence, the whole deal. So it's really so much more. To me, a huge blanket statement in 2021 is that drag racing is about more than what you're doing just on the track. It takes all these things. So I'm excited about it. But I want to, Paige, I want to talk a little bit about your combination. I think we're getting a lot of questions in the comments. Tell us more about the car. Tell us more about the drive line. Anything, I mean, maybe some of it you don't want to give away just yet, but who built the car? I mean, what kind of stuff we're going to see on this thing?
Sure. Yeah. So it's a 1992 Pro Charged Camaro. And Mike Reese has owned this car for years. Him and his wife have raced this in small tire stuff. And Mike Reese has worked for Jegs for as long as I can remember. You know, I grew up with him going to the pro mod races with my dad. And, you know, he's like another older brother to me. And he's just been so great to work with. And just when I went to his shop for the first time, because we've been building this car at his house in his shop, it's been a complete secret. And I sat in it for the first time, and I was like, you know what, this feels right. This is comfortable. I'm not drowned out by the enormous size of this car compared to what I'm used to in that dragster. And it was comfortable, like we were made to be there. And he made sure that everything was set up for me to be there. And he's just done a fabulous job. And I can't thank him enough. And then my original crew chief, Justin Beaver, who has tuned me for Super Comp, and my brother for as long as I've been racing. And so they're going to both come work on this car together. And, you know, we have Steve Petty was also a big part of my dad's Pro Mod team. And, you know, we've worked closely with him for years, but he might come over and help out a little bit. But Mike and Justin, those are the two guys right there. And but everything else, you know, we're still putting the car together. It's not quite done. So a lot of my content is in the works. And I think that's cool because it gives the audience something to see as we continue to put it together. But can't give away too much because I want to reveal it at the very end when we release the, you know, the paint scheme, which everyone has been commenting on that. And that has been so amazing. Like I've actually have a running tab, like on an Excel spreadsheet of what every single comment has voted for. Because I really,
that's awesome.
I really care about what they want. And it's like, you know, whichever one has been the most picked, I'm like, well, I want to lean towards that because, you know, the fans that were starting to generate in and the comments were coming down, like, I care about those and I want to incorporate them in this process of voting this car.
I got to get my vote in. Come on, guys, let's get our votes
in. Keep on
hold on one second.
I was going through it at PRI and I was like, oh my gosh, they're not done. People are still commenting on it, which is so awesome. It's like people are watching, they're caring enough to write a comment about it. And, you know, we have some names floating around between me, my dad, Mike, Justin, and TJ about the car. We're like, we got to name this thing. We've always named our cars, even in NHRA, just between the team. And you know, that's a thing over here. And I think that's so cool. And so we're floating names around and then we're going to incorporate that into the paint scheme once it's all done. But as we keep going,
I got to tell you, I rock Camaros with like cowl hoods and zoomies.
Uh-huh.
We're not in Olds Cutlass territory, but we're within a mile or two of old. I mean, they look so good. I think
did you see how packed this track was?
No prep car though, right?
Did you see how packed this track was at Tulsa?
Oh, yeah, it's bananas. Let's give a shout out to Todd Martin, Keith Haney, the whole team there at Tulsa Raceway Park, Osage Casino,
2 for 1
Tulsa
beers.
Raceway Park, 2 for 1 beers during oil downs.
Hey,
maybe
speaking
one of
of
the greatest
spreadsheets,
strategies of all time.
JT has a spreadsheet of every track that has 2 for 1 beer deals.
Oh my gosh,
that's a deal.
How long is your spreadsheet? Like one?
Yeah, one.
I don't think that's a very popular notion amongst track owners. But you know, it's funny because this is actually a little side note we can touch on briefly. Is that there was a race I think scheduled for maybe Belle Rose. It was in Louisiana or No Problem Raceway. Some issues, wasn't able to have it, so they rescheduled this event to Tulsa Raceway Park. And of course, the staff at Tulsa, Haney and the aforementioned Todd Martin, who I got to spend a bunch of time with this weekend at the PRI show in Indianapolis, they're like, bring that bad boy on over. So they brought it to Tulsa Raceway Park. And as you can see, if you're following along on Discovery Channel, the place was a zoo. And it's cool because I love to see that for tracks. And I think that going back to what you were talking about at the start of the show, Paige, and your dad's initial reaction, your dad, Troy Coughlin, a legend in door slammer drag racing, his reaction to the crowd assembled at National Trail Raceway in Columbus, Ohio, your home track. That's, to be honest, that may be the coolest part of what No Prep Kings has done. It's been some great racing, no doubt. We've seen some stars born. We've talked about Justin Swanstrom. To see the stardom kind of unfolding with him and how quickly it's happened is really special. Ryan Martin, we saw long lines at PRI to get his autograph, shake his hand, take a picture with him. Big Murder Nova walking around with a crowd gathering anywhere he goes. Chuck, I mean, to see that is fantastic, and it's so cool. And I'm happy for those guys, but I think the people that I'm happiest for are track owners around the country that are having this opportunity to either have this event or replicate kind of their own version of this style of drag racing with a no prep event of some sort or a top end race of some sort. It's really cool to me. I think that's the big takeaway. And that's a lot of what we heard this past week at PRI was how excited people are to see tracks packed and it not be an NHRA national event. Yeah, right?
I agree. Mm-hmm. And I mean, growing up, going to national trails, and when I ran juniors for a little bit, that was pretty much the only place I raced at just because of how hectic my dad's schedule was. Yeah. But going there and then going to some of the divisional races they put on and a few bracket races here and there. But the track owners are a great group of people. I met them when I first started racing my super comp car. It's a new family that owns it, and they really want to turn this place around. And, National Trails always holds a special place in my heart. But hearing my dad talk about that racetrack, they deserve that. They worked hard to make that place even better and better and better.
And they don't have a national event anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I know that, maybe they will one day. I mean, I think there's plenty of work needs to be done, but they're getting there and they're passionate about it. That group of people really wants to turn that track around, and it keeps on getting better. And just hearing all of those people coming to that racetrack, it's it makes me excited for those people that own that track, because they really want to turn it around. And just seeing all those people crowd and watch the races and just really enjoy the facilities is it made me excited, because it's near and dear to my heart. And, they worked hard for it. So yes, that is special to me.
I think that's the coolest part about it. I mean, in this day and age of hearing about tracks closing, as often as we hear about them opening, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to be negative or anything like that, but I mean, it's a reality. A lot of these tracks are being encroached upon by the world, housing, commercial districts and everything in between. So to see these tracks kind of be able to say, hey, listen, we're doing well enough, selling enough tickets that we could fight a legal battle if we had to, but also seeing the communities go, you know what, if there are opportunities to bring all these tens of thousands of people into our community a couple of times a year or several times a year for that matter, we'll back off. We'll leave you alone. You know what I mean? And it's a really cool thing for the sport of drag racing. I was only at one. Okay, here we go, guys. I want to kind of just recap real quick. Thank you for joining us. If you're here for the first time, the Drag Illustrated Ride Along. We do this every Monday night during season 4 of the No Prep Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings season. It's been fantastic watching along with all of you on Discovery Channel. If you are new, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Drag Illustrated. If you're following along on Facebook, click like, click share. You'd be blown away the difference it makes. And we genuinely appreciate your help kind of spreading the good word, spreading the gospel of drag racing. We're under the back, I think, right now. Is this Jerry Bird's probe?
I believe so.
Yeah, Jerry Bird's probe is going to look, if you get the shot, if you get a chance to put that yellow and black IROC Camaro alongside the probe, I'm going to see some visions of vintage pro stock. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
What are they doing?
This might be Scott Taylor's car. I'm not sure.
Oh, it might be.
It looks silver. So
it's a strange place for a meeting.
This is a funny. They told hey, y'all
a lot of good convo goes on across that third member back there. I can tell you that. You'll spend a long time underneath one of those bad boys.
I tell you what, if that's the probe, it's nice. No, it ain't the probe. It's the Camaro. There's no doubt.
This thing.
I'm not trying to talk nothing bad. Not trying to say anything bad about the probe, Jerry Bird. But if it looks that good under the back of it, you should teach a class on race car maintenance.
Paige, what's your experience in a door car?
I have actually never driven one. Believe it or not, I
got that out of the way. That was the time.
Yeah.
I've actually never driven one. I've had the dragster, and that's about it. We ran that for, only 4 years, and we did juniors for 2 years. 14, 15, 16. So yeah, 2 years, because I built my dragster in 2016 and started officially racing in 2017. But I've warmed up the pro stock car every now and then when I'm at the national events with TJ, but I've never driven a door car down a racetrack. So when I say it's going to be a learning experience, like I have been saying on social media, it truly is going to be a learning experience. But I'm welcoming it. My dad's a door car kind of guy, and TJ.
Allow me to interject. This is an interesting thing. And I remember we all know Vincent Nobile. If you don't know Vincent Nobile, you should know Vincent Nobile. He was actually on the cover. Mike, was it our first ever 30 under 30? I believe it was.
I believe it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. On the cover of the first ever Drag Illustrated 30 under 30. And I've known Vincent's father, John, for a long time. A legend in mountain motor, 500-inch and big inch mountain motor pro stock racing. Some really great people. But I'll tell you, do you know this? This is a true story. When we interviewed, did I write the cover story, Mike? I think I did.
Yeah, I think that was back in the days.
Because I don't think there was anyone else to write it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there was anyone else to write it.
Now it's like it's a monumental deal when we get a Wes Buck feature in the magazine.
Well, because I'm doing this shit. I'm doing everything else. No, I'm just joking. And I may just do it. I feel
he's going to do it now. He's going to do it now just because I said that.
Yeah. Every once in a while, Jan Wenner, the founder of Rolling Stone magazine, will when he interviews like the president or something like that, he'll write the story. So maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll do an interview with Glenn Cromwell or Sam Corcus.
Yeah, I knew this.
Or someone. And I'll write the cover story. But anyways, I was interviewing Paige, and just because I think this is worth noting, I was interviewing Vincent Nobile about he was kicking ass and taking names in pro stock. This kid's a hitter. He's a driver. I mean, he's the real deal. Has never driven a vehicle with a manual clutch, with a manual transmission. The only car that he's ever driven that has a stick shift in it is an NHRA pro stocker, and he was one of the best. Right. So don't, I think for those watching out there, don't let Paige's, maybe being exposed to no prep before anything else, as far as pro mod or fast door slam or drag racing is concerned, it may well serve as an advantage. It really might.
Yeah, you haven't
learned any of those bad habits.
No bad habits.
What's your game plan?
True. That's something my dad said. He's like, well, don't be, kind of conservative about the fact that you've never driven a door car before, and we just never had one growing up racing, but that I could race. And he's like, just go out there and just you'll know what to do, and you'll start to get the hang of it. You're a fast learner. I mean, look how you picked up Super Comp and you'll figure it out. You're going to learn, and you'll make mistakes, and then you'll learn from them and go and correct them. But I was a little nervous about it at first, because I was like, well, I'm really jumping in head first to like not only a door car, but something that has got a lot more juice than my Super Comp car, and then also not racing on the prep track. Yeah. And I'm like, why not just go at it all? Just do it all at once. Just wing it.
Why not?
What's your game plan? Are you going to test any? And even if the car's not ready, are you going to jump in a door car to try to get some laps? Or are you just going to wait till this thing's done and hopefully?
Let's go to Frank Hawley's door car deal together. I'm going to go, I think, hopefully next month.
Okay.
Oh, you are?
Look, Mike, you are.
I think we're going to test.
Is this a group invite or?
Y'all can come. I'm working on it.
I went 2007. It's on YouTube to this day if you want to check it out.
Is it under your name?
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, let's bring this shit up right now. Hold on. Anyways, carry on. But we should all go together. But it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Mikey Reese's shop is in Ohio, right?
Yeah, it's right like there. 10 minutes down the road from Jed's.
Yeah. So you guys could go to National Trail. If you guys were going to go test, where would you go test?
I think it all just depends on when the season for the starts. I mean, I haven't seen a schedule yet. So TJ, I know TJ's going down to Bradenton at the end of January. So if my car's done by then, I mean, hell, I say we bring both cars and leave one lane just unprepped and just go for it. That way we can experience all this together as one big
thing. Yeah.
With the elite guys too. Be hearing shit the first few rounds.
You will not. Yeah, you may want to rethink that.
You
might want to just hit those two little triangles pointing backwards. Just don't want to go shake down the no prep car with the elite guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
I think it'd be a blast. Yeah. I mean, I had a blast with them at PRI as always. They're such a great group of guys, and growing up with them a little bit more through Uncle Jeg and now TJ, and I've always had a blast hanging out with them. And so I'm like, hope we all test together. I think this could be a real fun time. But if it's done in time, great. If not, we'll find another date, and we'll probably have to travel down somewhere warmer, down south. Bradenton's a good option. I know sometimes my dad would go to Valdosta. It just kind of depends on where Mike and my dad want to go, and when the car will be done. Hopefully by end of January, we should be ready to go testing.
Paige, I brought on your interview coach.
Oh,
here.
God. What? Oh, boy. I have a bad feeling. It's Justin Swanstrom. Oh, my goodness.
Shit.
Justin, were you at a haunted house or something?
I'm in my bedroom.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
I'm watching me on TV. That's pretty cool.
I'm watching me on TV. Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, man. What did you make of your first PRI experience, Swan Gang?
I had fun. I learned a lot. I got there Wednesday at like noon. I hung out, went and ate dinner with a sponsor Wednesday night, and then Thursday I made sure I got linked up with everybody. One thing I learned is that, and I'm actually shooting a podcast about it this week, but a lot of people ask me, like, do you go to PRI to get sponsors? And I may be wrong. But I think that's no.
No, that's not how it works. It's really not how it works.
No, you go there to make horrible decisions. They may as well rename it Vegas.
So that's why I even told them on the internet, I'm like, you don't go to PRI to get sponsors. I feel like you go to PRI to fucking you put names to faces.
Yeah.
And then
and you work on it later.
And then you figure out what you're gonna do for the night, and
lay the groundwork. You gotta lay the groundwork for the next year or that night.
I definitely laid it for the night. I think I got like fucking 3 hours of sleep the week I was there.
That's an alley-oop right there, boy. Dunk that thing.
First night was Wednesday night was pretty laid back. We went to bed at like, I don't know, 3 a.m. or something. Thursday night, we didn't get in till, because I had to be on Thursday. I had to go and meet some people, so I knew I had to go to bed early. Now, Thursday night, we had the Drag Illustrated party, and then we hung out with Tony Stewart, Leah, and all them, and then closed that club down, walked down the street.
Hey, what time does that place close? Was that like 3 a.m.? JT, what time does that place close?
I think it was like 2:30 or so, wasn't it?
I was just curious.
Yeah, 2:30, and then we went to the we went to the most ratchetest strip club you could ever be a part of.
I've been there. I
feel like I had to.
JT, I've been there. Don't even.
That's right. That's where I cashed out all those ones that one. Cashed out that money for ones.
So check this out. I rolled in there, right, and fucking I only had like $500 on me. Like, it's not a lot of money, but $500 on ones, dude. You'd have thought I was fucking King God up in that thing. It was. I told him. I said, man, this is a ratchet ass strip club. I felt like I had to get like a technic shot after when I went home. Like, it was bad. One girl had one tooth. The other one was pretty.
Justin.
It was pretty rough, but it was a fun time. I had fun at PRI. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to see
the ones I like.
Yeah, I got to see a lot of fans. I don't get to go out. I tell people all the time, I don't get to go out throughout the year and shit because I'm racing and everything. So I save all my party time for PRI, and then now I'm back. So now I gotta.
JT, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
JT's the bad influence. I found that out this weekend too.
Yeah.
JT's the definition of bad influence. If you look that up, like Google it right quick, and on the Urban Dictionary, it'll show a picture of JT.
Man, you had to be proud though of like PRI in general. Like Wednesday or Thursday morning, walking down there, and you're just kind of wondering if it's going to be down or up, or with everything. And I think it was the busiest show they've ever had.
Dude, that place was bananas.
Dude, it was so slam packed. It was crazy.
Yeah, even Saturday, like into the later part of the day. Usually
Which
Saturday
everybody's usually picking up. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I told everybody, I feel like I walked around and seen everything without seeing anything. Like, that's how I explained it. Like, you just kept walking and walking and walking, and then like one thing I wish they would do though is, and I understand they do it so people can keep walking around, but I wish they would like categorize things, as in putting stuff in. I mean, yes, you had the engine stuff in the one area, but like you had like a circle track car with a drag car.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
With like a dirt bike. Like they should just.
Well, the problem is drag racing's so much better than all that other stuff. That would just be like you just see those tumbleweeds blowing through the circle track hall. You know what I mean?
So that's why
it might be like going to the grocery store. You know how they put the milk in the very back corner of the grocery store?
They
so that you
sprinkle
have to walk
drag
through
racing all around that bitch.
Yep.
That's what they do. They sprinkle drag racing all around the PRI show so everybody gets a little foot traffic. That's you know what? Kudos, Jamie
What
Meyer.
Swanstrom, what do you think about Paige for next year for the MPK deal?
Someone just rang my doorbell.
She already knows. I said she's going to do well. I mean,
your dad just texted me. He thinks she's going to do well. That's what he just texted me.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
I said she's going to do well. I said I've told her. I'm pretty sure. Like I know that her dad and all them were kind of knowing about it, and she kind of told me a while back about the car and everything. And like I tried to give her some pointers going into it. I don't know everything, but I am probably one of the ones that came in, ran the future, got brought up, did everything right, and it is now in part of the invitational and winning events and doing all that. So I did try to give her some kind of stuff. I'm probably not the best person to try to go like look after, I guess you want to say. Like according to Wes, I'm still upset Wes unfollowed me, but
I didn't unfollow you.
He didn't actually do it.
Yeah, no, I didn't actually.
He didn't. He was just saving face on that stage.
Yeah, you keep
that.
anything crazy on Facebook, and then you get an award.
No.
I know.
I think she'll do well. I mean, come in. She knows she'll be running the future class. I think the biggest thing for her is going to be is seat time right now. When they get the car and everything ready to go out there and run that. I don't know if she's ever been in a door car or not. I don't know.
She hasn't. We just talked about that right before you came on.
Okay, so that'll be the biggest thing I think it will be for. And I even talked about it a little bit in my podcast. If it was me, same thing I had to do whenever. Because I've wrecked a car before. I mean, I've been down the whole road and everything. I said you go to a prep track, get familiar with the car, get seat time inside the car. It's so much easier to turn a car down than it is to try to make it go faster. If you can go out there and you can run a certain number, you could detune it a couple tenths and just go down the track, and then you can start playing away with it to get it back up and running fast. So some people try to go just test on no prep, which me and my dad, we really think that's probably the dumbest shit ever.
Yeah, because it's not the same as what you're doing. I mean, this deal, we've talked about it many times, how the track comes around with all the traffic on it. How are you going to replicate that in testing?
And that's where
don't prep this lane. You're never going to get there.
So, and that's where it is. So like what I did was, and then that's why I talked about in my video, I would go to a prep track. I would get seat time. I'd do everything, get passes, and then go to a good track. Like down here by me, we have Orlando or Bradenton Motorsports Park, which is probably two of the best tracks you could ever race on in your life. But I basically told them to just scrape to the 60 foot, broom the track off one time, and don't touch it for the rest of the day. Once you get seat time, and then if you want to get like a semi-prep type deal, that's the kind of tracks that you go to. Then you'll be ready whenever it comes time to go run on a no prep deal. And then when it gets better on and later on in the rounds, that's when it'll kind of be similar to the tracks that you are running on. But if you're out there just ice skating left and right, trying to make it down to the other end, you're really not going to learn nothing, especially for a new driver.
It's an interesting way to look at it, and I'll definitely have to forward that on to my dad. Neither one of us have ever done something like this, so we're not quite sure on what exactly we're doing, but that's an interesting way to look at it, and I think that was one of the reasons why we potentially talked about testing with TJ, is just to have both options right there. But I liked what you said about just telling them to modify the track ever so slightly, and I think that's a good way to look at it.
For sure.
It is, man. I mean, that's this. I think that's some sage advice, because I mean, that was one of the things that we talked about. I talked to your dad a lot this weekend, Justin, and he was like, man, people just don't understand how fast these cars can actually run in the track. How it comes around. We're looking at you right now. Look real quick, and I'm going to completely change. Is it crazy considering how fast all this has happened and how hard you've had to work and the hustle that has happened to see yourself on Discovery Channel right now at 7:48 on a Monday night? I mean, this is primetime television, Justin.
Oh no, it's awesome, and I've already already grouped up for plans for next year to figure out what I can do to get more TV time and go from there. It's all about building your brand. One thing I like about Street Outlaws is that they basically give you the platform to build it. You're only going to do as good as you want to. That's why I try to tell people there's people that's been in Street Outlaws for 8-10 years and don't even have a brand, don't even sell merch, and it blows my mind that people are like that, but that's on them. It's whatever it is. You're only going to be as good as you are going to put yourself out there to be. So I did tell one thing I told her, I know she's part of Jags and that's awesome and everything. But I feel she should, like, I guess you want a sister company off of it and have her own brand. That will be huge for her. She already has the big platform. She'll be able to be a part of some awesome racing, and she's got her dad, her brother, which are very, very big into racing. But if she can build her own platform and have her own merch line and all that, then that's what's going to be better for her the long run, in my opinion.
I agree 1,000,000%. And I was one of the first two things. I'm going to throw out Paige Poo. Paige Poo.
Oh,
no, I'm just joking.
We might have to
I'm just playing. I was just playing. I've got a niece that's named Paige, and I call her Paige Poo. But like, as soon as I saw the scribble, the page on the window, your signature, I go, I that was another sign that this young lady gets it. Because you are going to have to create a brand within that brand. I mean, that's the point Justin's making, is that Jags has such a powerful presence and is this behemoth in the aftermarket industry and the automotive industry. But I do think it's going to be important for you to kind of set yourself apart from that, bridge the gap, so to speak, bring this new audience to people that are very familiar with the yellow and black. But it will be kind of interesting because you're going to want it to be, I think, a little bit something different.
You kind of needed like 1 degree of separation.
Yeah.
Almost. You know what I mean? Exactly. So you can do your own thing. And it's a cool deal because Jags is so, in my opinion, classy, clean, everything's perfect. I mean, maybe we all know that that's not 100% true, but that's the presentation that's the Jags way, right? And then this deal, I mean, part of its allure is that it's dirty. This is like Jags getting its hands dirty a little bit. So it's interesting to see. And I know, I mean, I get it. Ed Hart, Troy Coughlin, everyone over there at Jags, they're door car racers. They're not afraid to get their hands dirty, but it's different than the typical Jags image.
No, it definitely is. And that is something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, is the fact that I can now go to these races and talk to some of these people and be myself and not have to keep certain opinions or thoughts in my head. And I can express them publicly, and it's no big deal. Like, in NHRA, sometimes you can't do that. And you do have to paint this image of being professional and classy, and you are part of your brand. And I am extremely grateful for everything that Jags has done for me and the support of my dad and all the rest of my family. But I'm also excited to do something on my own now. I'm at this point in my racing career where we have this opportunity to go no prep racing, and I get to be myself and completely do something new. And it's going to be a learning curve for sure to take myself away from that Jags image, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun and really exciting and just something completely different. But I'm really looking forward to it and just finally being able to be myself. And
I think it's cool, man. I remember I wrote this story, and it's about your dad, and it was NHRA Gainesville. It's been a while ago. Maybe he still had the C5 Corvette. So like 17, maybe 16. The car he won the championship with, a few of them, I believe. Anyways, the yellow C5 Corvette with the twin turbo Proline engine that Steve Petty was tuning. And it was the first race of the season. Transmission breaks, tears up a bunch of stuff. They get back to the pits, and it's like between the second and third rounds on race day, Sunday, at an NHRA national event that's actually going to air on live TV, parts of it. So there was this massively compressed timetable to get the car back up for the semifinal round. So they get over there and this thing's leaking automatic transmission fluid. It's a disastrous situation. And I'm across the way in the Danny Rowe / Steve Matusik pit area watching over. And it was funny because your dad, Troy Coughlin, part of the Jegs, the iconic Coughlin family that owns Jegs. This is a guy that we're used to seeing dress nice, yellow shirt, black slacks, the cigar hanging out of his mouth.
Yep.
I watched this man and and his crew, Petty, Ricky, Kyle Pettis, not Ricky, Mikey Reese, Kyle Pettis. Literally, it's a disaster over there. I mean, wrenches flying, Zeus tools flying, people moving a million miles. Of course I did. I can't see that type of stuff on
Wes he's got like an app or something that gets a notification. If somebody's swinging a motor anywhere in the pits, here comes Wes diving in. This dude just can't eat. Yeah, he can't help it.
No, I live for it. It's like my favorite. However, in certain teams, I've recognized that there's like no room for help. That I've been around this stuff for long enough to know that if you disrupt the flow, you know what I mean? Like, hey, these guys got it. But there are those instances where like this is a disaster and someone needs to put the zoomies on this thing. Someone needs to wipe the blood off the wicker bill. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those deals. And if I see an opportunity like that, I dive in. So Danny Rowe, Steve Matusik, myself, we all look at each other and we run across the road at Gainesville and we start doing anything we can. Oh my God, putting the drive shaft tunnel in it, putting the drive shaft in it, just doing anything we can to help. We're literally getting this thing down off the Pro Jacks, trying to hook the toe pin in the roof, trying to get the front end on because the NHRA people are all down there like losing their mind. Like, we gotta go. So we burn up the staging lanes, make it up there in time. Car won't, I believe we couldn't get the car to start. Trying to get the whole deal. Car fires up, does a burnout, breaks like beyond the 60-foot cone, and it was a bummer, right? But still, we made the effort. We got it up there. And I wrote this story called Troy Coughlin is a Badass. And it got like that was the headline. Troy Coughlin, I fancy myself a headline writer. And I wrote this because it so defied what Jegs was known for. Like, we're pros, hire someone to do it. You know what I mean? That type of thing. I'm going to step back. And it really spoke to me that part of the Coughlin bloodline, the guy who started Jegs, this iconic brand in our industry, he was dripping sweat the same way as everyone else. His knuckles were bloody the same way as everyone else's. I mean, it was a real drag racing moment that I still look back on fondly. And I think it's cool because based on everything you just said, like you're fully prepared to follow in the footsteps of your father and go be a real deal racer's racer.
Yeah, that was always something I really admired about my dad and something he has always drilled into me ever since I started racing is like, you're going to these races and people are always watching and you should be able to know how to work on your stuff and be a part of your team. And, don't be that person that does step away or say they could hire someone to fix their things. No, you want to be involved and really know your car. And I've always wanted to be like that. And he is a badass. I tell him that all the time. And he's like, oh, stop. And I'm like, no, you are. Don't doubt yourself. So I'm glad to hear that awesome. You said you would be badass.
Well, and it's not just him. It goes to your grandfather too. We toured Jegs HQ back in the spring with Woody, and we went to the original location and went to the back corner where that the original 4 or 5 bays that faced the road now face the highway where the whole thing started. And that whole deal, like, to me, that is the embodiment of what you're doing now, that the hands-on, rough and tumble, starting from scratch, whatever you want to call it. And if you're going to do, maybe I should just call Woody and maybe talk to him about this, but that's where I would have that car. That's where I would do some promo shoots of it.
That's a great idea.
That's like a time capsule or something.
Justin, you'd appreciate this.
It even smells like 1967. in there. It's amazing. And there's been a lot of history in there. It's like untouched. There's old cars sitting in the corner. There's like tires from
literally
from the 70s.
I think Don Garlitz rolled him in there in like 1971.
I think Don Garlitz actually worked out of that shop.
He worked
for a
on
his
car out of that shop.
Yeah, Woody told us some stories, but that's what I mean. Jegs, and if you go to that facility, it's added on, and you can see like the original older sections, and it just becomes more polished and more technology and all this stuff as it goes. But at the root of it, it's very, one man, very hands-on out there being a badass drag racer. So, you can't take anything away from that. And to me, it's kind of getting back to those roots.
I definitely agree. I really like that idea of shooting some videos and some photos there. I think that's a really great idea, actually. I don't get to go down there too often because I work at the Delaware location where the distribution center is.
Yeah.
And, but every time I do go down there, you're like, wow, this is where it all started. This is where my grandfather had an idea to start a machine shop right there in Columbus, Ohio. And look where it is now. And just being able to work there and be a part of continuing that forward as the third generation. And we can only continue to keep it going forward. And that's what I want to be a part of. But still remembering those roots I think is extremely important.
I'm curious, Justin, very early in the show, like an hour ago, I saw this YouTube comment and I laughed and I thought, this is funny. And I'm curious how people feel. Here we go. Darren Hillard. It's over, boys. That as soon as he saw the name Coughlin involved in No Prep Kings, his response was, it's over, boys. And I'm just curious, Justin, you've been down this road of being like labeled as a rich guy, which is just kind of funny to me, but like labeled as daddy's money, blah, blah, blah. We're willing to spend whatever money, big budget. What's your initial reaction when you think about, this is some people that are responsible for, Jeg Coughlin Jr., Paige's uncle, is arguably the greatest drag racer of all time, one of the greatest natural drivers of all time. Troy Coughlin, her dad's accomplished all sorts of stuff, NHRA Pro Mod World Champion, NMCA Pro Street World Champion. Her brothers race an NHRA Pro Stock. There's no doubt that they're willing to do this and do it at a high level. Like, what's your just initial reaction to someone from that NHRA pro drag racing world arriving in? And I understand that you're relatively new to the scene and you take some heat for that as well. But what's your reaction to that?
I don't really look too far into it. There's so many people that they're like, oh, the daddy's money and blah, blah, blah. I know what I spend and I'm okay with that. Paige comes from Jegs, and I've even told her this, and you can actually do it. When you hear Jegs, you hear professional. It's just what you hear. It ain't nothing wrong with it. They have built the foundation. They have raced for decades. Her dad is, I think, 3 times world champion. He has built that whole entire deal. Her brothers running pro stock. That's just what it is. So I think it's awesome for her because, like she said, there's none of them has ever done any no prep. So she gets to be the seed that breaks off and does something different. One thing I will say to her is she seems to have pretty thick skin. I talk shit to her a lot, like throughout the days. Like I literally talk shit to her, and like
I give it right back, no problem.
So, and that's what I said, and she's gonna hear it no matter what. When she wins her first race, and I'm sure it'll come. Whenever that happens or whatever, you'll hear the Millionaire Squad and the daddy's money. Trust me, it's gonna happen. And for me, I look past that. I don't care. When I even tell people online, when someone makes a comment like that, they're so simple-minded. They're really not intelligent enough to have a conversation with me at that point, because that's what people rely to. And there's actually people that actually race the series that try to do that shit too. And like I tell them, I don't care where anybody gets their money. Am I more fortunate than other people? Sure. Is there a lot more people out there more fortunate than I am? Hell yeah, there is. But I don't sit there and question, hey, where'd you get your money or how'd you do this? I'd rather just try to be better by myself and try to get more as I can. I know what I spend. I know how much money it cost me to run the 15 races last year. My dad does help with the fuel and the rig. We've already made that out clear that he does help with the fuel in the rig, and he pays for one of the guys' plane tickets. Everything else car related, I have to come up with. If that's sponsorship, fucking merchandise, social medias, anything. But like I tell people, I don't have to explain that to them. Every once in a while, people will see me get on there talking about what I do, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you don't really have to explain that. So for her background, I already know it's going to come. And there's actually already people actually dropping comments about it now, talking about, oh, there's the Millionaire Club. And the way I look at it, it is what it is. You're going to have it regardless. It's so easy for people to talk shit on somebody rather than it is to talk good about somebody.
True.
So as long as she has thick skin and doesn't let it get to her, she will be fine. There's people out there that do let it get to them, and that's when you'll see their actions act differently, or they'll try to impress others. And I think that's one good thing that I try to do is I really don't care. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. For the 2 or 3 people that say they're going to unfollow me, there's 100 to 200 more that's saying, okay, I want to be a part of him.
Yeah, Wes.
So I'm good. Yeah, Wes. When you said you were going to unfollow me, I fucking put it on my Instagram story, and and I got a couple more 100 followers. So at the end of the day, I don't look too far into that stuff. If it's not making me money, I just had this conversation with my mom today. 2 years ago, I was such like a gullible person. If it sounded too good to be true, I still believed it was going to happen. I think of this more as a business now. So, and I basically run anything when it comes down to talking to people's sponsorship, when it comes to ordering parts. I basically took all that out of my dad's hands. Every account, ProLine, ProCharger, fucking Justin with Modern Racing is in Justin Swanstrom's name, Swan Productions. I started this company. I built this business, I guess you want to say, and everything goes through me. Yes, me and my dad, we talk, we figure out what we got to do, but it does go through me. And that's what I know what I spend. He knows what he spends. We know we both have each other's back, and I'm sure she's going to have her family's back just like her family's going to have hers. You're going to have the haters, but at the end of the day, you can't study that. If you let it bother you, it'll eat you alive. The internet will eat you alive if you let it.
I would embrace it if my dad had money and wanted to give it to me. I mean, I don't see a bigger problem with it. Like, come on, bring it on, let's go.
Well, I tell people,
I've been trying to find more dads.
God.
Like,
Yeah,
how many rich ones can we get?
I made my mom go through a few of them. No, I'm joking.
I tell people, I mean, and I get on, and whenever I'm pretty petty when it comes to the internet. So like when people do say stuff like that, I'll just comment back with them. Like I have one, like even Mike Murillo, I called Mike Murillo out on the internet because he was probably the last person I would ever think that would say the whole daddy's money and YouTube rich kid or whatever. So like I called him out on the internet. Like if you're going to say something, I'm always going to win when it comes to the internet because the internet is my domain and I will always be king. I tell people all the time, do not try to go at me on the internet because I will win because I have that I really don't care attitude. I will go to the end to figure out how to ruin you. Like I'm such a nice person, but I tell people I can be the most vindictive person you ever meet either. Like I will do background checks. I will find people in your town. Like I have, and the problem is now I have the fan base where it comes easier. So like people that talk shit, I have the Swan fans that people are in, and like they have literally found where people live. Find that
these fans, the NPK fans that's a deal.
I tell everybody all the time, I got the best fans in the world, and like I got a guy that he fucking the dude didn't pay his fucking water bill. Like we broke it all the way down, like wasn't paying his bills and everything. Like, so it's gotten to the point where it's easier. And that's why I try to tell people, don't try to go at me on the internet because I will always win. It's just how I have built myself. My dad has raised me to have thick skin growing up. And that's what you got to be, especially over here in No Prep. I heard one of y'all say it earlier. Your NHRA is more of your like professional look, where NPK is more like getting your hands tight dirty. Mm-hmm. You have to have thick skin over here. If you do not have thick skin, one, you'll get ate alive by the drivers, but you'll definitely get ate alive by the fan base. You have to endorse that.
Kind of going along with that, there's been some comments about, you kind of joining the female ranks of NPK, Lizzie, Callie Mills, Kayla Morton, just to name a few. How are you with those other ladies? Are you friends? Are you gonna lean on them for advice? How do you see that playing out?
Well, I haven't really formally met anybody yet, so I'm really looking forward to that. And I know I talked to Pat earlier this year during my first interview, which was really, really awesome. But I'm really excited to make those friendships and to just get to know these girls even better, because it's exciting to see women in drag racing and involved in no prep. And I think those relationships could be formed, but we're all racing together, and it is a TV show, and some of us are in the future class, and some of us would be in the invitational, and I just think it's awesome to see these women come in to battle it out just like everybody else.
Let me tell you one thing, and I've only been doing it for 1 year right now, but honestly, I mean, I'm friends with everybody, and I could not be friends with everybody. It doesn't matter whichever me, but I'm gonna be 100% honest with you that there's nobody out there that's gonna have your back like you will.
Well, yeah, and you know what? And when you race in NHRA, you'll have friends when you're down, and some of the true ones will stick with you, but they don't want to be your friends when you're doing well, and that's just how it is. And I definitely agree with you that no one's gonna truly have your back wherever you go and race, and I completely understand that, but it excites me to see women racing in no prep.
I think it's fucking awesome. I think it's awesome. Right now, all you got is Lizzie. All you got is Lizzie and Kayla. So you coming on board is going to fucking change up the game. And there's a lot of people that's already talking about how you're going to take Lizzie's shine, which and you may possibly be that person, because right now Lizzie has the female perspective of no prep kings. She's really the only one that's running. Kayla came to the last few races, but you may be the one that comes in there and takes it over, which would be fucking awesome. So I tell people all the time, this is people will watch you over watching me any day of the week just because you're a female. Mm-hmm. And so that's what's going to be good. And I think you'll be able to have good competition with them. Don't be trying to be best friends.
No, I know that for sure. And, just because we're going over to no prep race doesn't mean it's not quite the same or somewhat similar to the stuff over in NHRA. I see a lot of the same shit in the sportsman racing, and it is what it is. And, but, just watching Lizzie through social media and on Discovery Channel, and when I was in person, that's impressive to see her racing on the Invitational show. And, I think that's really, really cool. And would it be awesome to be just like her? Yes. I mean, but we're just gonna have to work for it just like everybody else does. So I'm looking forward
to it. Who muted me? The host has muted my mic.
I was trying to see whose TV was turned way up. Sorry.
Jeez Louise, man. I mean, okay. Well,
I couldn't even hear Paige cuss.
I got to hear Paige cuss. I heard Paige cuss. Fine. No, I was just curious, because one of the things that I noticed earlier this week, and I don't know, maybe I'm late to the party, but Justin, you were having like maybe some back and forth with Chuck with like maybe I can't remember exactly what the post said, but it was something to the effect of, you may be trying, but you'll never be one of us, or something.
Yeah, and I dropped a comment and said, I don't want to be y'all. I'll be better, which I will be. I'm so confident in my program and what I got going on. I don't need to be them. I'll be better. I'll be here for the long run. And I've told people all the time, if it doesn't happen, there's other avenues you could do. But I don't try to be like them. I'm not.
Are you surprised though that because I just thought that was an interesting comment, because I will be honest, that's some of the stuff that got NHRA in trouble. Like, oh, you're not welcome here. You know what I mean? Like, and we got to be weary of that type of thing, because like, personally, I think it's good that Justin Swanstrom showed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we need some new stars. We can't just do the same old deal forever like NHRA has done, right? Isn't that what we badmouth them for? Wanting it to be the same guys forever? That's okay. So let me get this straight. We're going to hate on NHRA for it being the same cast of characters, right, forever. Yep. But then we're going to hate on No Prep Kings for introducing some new guys. It really surprised me, man. Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised at all, because I mean, and I tell everybody not to toot my own horn, but I tell if you go on Facebook right now and you go under any NPK page, basically almost any page out there, my name pops up somehow, some way, somehow. Either someone's talking, the fans are talking. I put myself out there. At least I try to be able to stay relevant, keep growing the fan base, and keep growing my brand. So I can honestly say I get texts on the back line, even from some of the drivers in NBK and even the 405 guys. I know they're watching. That's why I make the post. That's why I do what I do, because I know they're going to see it. I know they're going to comment on it, and I have no problem calling any of them out about it. That's the difference. They want people that's going to bow down to them, I'll never be that person. So it's awesome to have my personality, just like Lizzie and Kai. They have their own, and they would do the same thing. But if, like you said, if everybody acted the same, it would be watered down. It would be washed out. There would be nothing to go on. That's why I love it that people are different characters, because then you actually have a show and you have something to go. That's like having 10 Dwayne The Rock Johnsons in a movie and then trying to watch the fucking movie. So like, it just doesn't work like that. So that's why I think it's cool for everybody to have their own personality, and I give off the personality. I mean, I have fun. I would help anybody in need. I give my shirt off my back, but I also have the I don't care attitude. And like one thing I did like was, like I told you, is that we got to hang out with Tony Stewart this weekend at the PRI show, the Wes Buck party. JT, he was he's looking at the sky or some shit in the back room. He was about.
He's probably in that champagne bathtub.
Yeah, he was about 60. He was about 60 beers deep, but
60. I'd say that's close.
Yeah, quite close.
But like when I told you, Wes, you were pretty lit too, so you probably don't even remember.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Tony's a fan of the show. Like, he watches
Yeah.
Street Outlaws, and
Yeah.
he even told me that he was a fan of me just because of the I don't care attitude, and that's basically how he was too whenever he was growing up. So then
that's for sure.
So then Leah brought up the name of the cars, and he's like, "What's the name of your car?" And I was like, "Well, the one's prenup." And he goes, "What?" He goes, "You're building a second one." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm naming it Child Support." And he fucking loved it. Like, it was the best thing ever.
He's pretty laid back.
Oh, yeah. Dude, he was awesome. I tell everybody the time. I mean, I ain't never met him. That was the first time, but that couldn't have went down better than anything else. And like, there was even people mad that I was over there talking to him, but dude, I bet you we sat there and partied for fucking 4 or 5 hours. Like, we just kept drinking, having fun, and just talking, and the conversation, and how it broke down. And usually when I meet somebody that's like a celebrity type deal, I ask everybody the same exact question. I even told him, I said, "Man, don't take offense to this." I said, "But when I try to meet, I don't meet too many people, and there's not too many people that I want to meet." But I asked him, I said, "When did you know that you made it? Like, when did you feel that you accomplished something and that you were going to be the next it?" Because in my opinion, I haven't reached that yet. And that's my ultimate goal, is to know that I made it. And he basically told me that when he was younger, when he would go to school back in whatever year it was, he said they had a machine that gave you square he would go to the concession, and it was $2 to buy a square pizza, and he would spend 50 cents to buy a Coke out of the machine. He said when he come up to a red light one time, he said the green light came, he sat there. He don't know why he sat there. He didn't drive off, but when he looked over to his right, he seen that he was in the Home Depot outfit on the Coke machine that he used to buy from whenever he was a kid in school. Cool. And he was like, he then knew at that time that he knew it. He had officially made himself somebody, and he went on from there. And I ask everybody that same exact question. Whenever I meet some kind of celebrity or whatever, I just say, "Hey, when did you know that you were going to be the next it or the icon or going out?" Because I haven't reached that yet. And that's my ultimate goal. I want to reach something. I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know what I got to accomplish to do it, but that's going to be my ultimate deal. And I love hearing people's stories. So sit there and listen to his story was fucking awesome about it.
What that was,
that's
phenomenal.
A badass story.
I gotta say it. I had goosebumps from, like, awesome. I don't know,
that was also
a little bit.
That was
JT.
also why we were
drink.
like fucking 3 Tito's bottles into the fucking night. So like I know a lot of people, like there was one guy that was there trying to get photos, taking videos and shit. And like I tell everybody all the time, when you're a celebrity like that, I didn't pull out my phone. I didn't do like that because I understand what they're going through. Everybody,
I did.
They want to have a normal life.
I did.
They want to have a normal life like everybody else. And I get
Act
that
as
too.
if. That's what I always say when you're around. And I think
Yeah.
that's the play. You probably gain more knowledge and insight for someone.
Oh, dude.
You're trying to pursue that same path, and you're
and
picking his brain. And you know as soon as you whip your phone out and try to do a selfie, he's getting up and going to the bathroom, and you're not seeing him again.
It makes the shit. It makes the shit awkward. Like there was one guy that was sitting down on the deal, and he was trying to take a photo, and his fucking flash accidentally went off, and it like
yeah, that's the worst.
Hey, Grandpa, your flashlight's on. Yeah, bro. Yeah.
So, but no, it was cool. So actually sitting there talking to him and just having drinks, having fun. But to be able to ask him that question, that was the coolest thing ever.
Well,
and like I said,
that's what it's all about, man. That's honestly a big reason why we have that party.
It
is for moments like that and for that kind of networking. We joke about it, and yeah, we're all in there having a good time and probably had too much to drink. But that's what it's about, and kind of being in that element with people like that. So instead of, running them off. So I'm glad to hear that.
That was an incredible story. But Justin, we're watching along on Discovery Channel. For those of you just joining us, the Drag Illustrated Ride Along, taking in, season 4 of Street Outlaws No Prep Kings. Incredibly, somehow, some way, we're joined tonight by budding, soon to be in NPK No Prep Kings star Paige Coughlin, and quickly becoming one of the biggest names our sport has to offer, Justin Swanstrom. Justin, you and Chuck going head to head right here. Right now, we got a commercial break, so this is perfect timing. What exactly was going on? All I was able to do was read the subtitles, boosted, saying something to the effect of like, "You've got 2 minutes." So can you kind of set the stage for us real quick, Justin?
So when me and Chuck raced back in the day, everybody heard about the burn down story, and the rules got changed. You weren't allowed to wait so long. So when we had to go run Chuck this time, I told Dad we were going to race him differently. I went out there, I did a burnout, I was backing up. He came out there and he was idling in the burnout box. Dad was on the headset telling me I already did my burnout. I backed up. I was back at the staging lanes, at the beams, and he was back there revving it up. Well, then he finally tried to put it in gear and went to go do a burnout. He did like a 10-foot burnout. He backed up. He tried to do another burnout. I didn't know if he was playing games or if he actually had an issue. Well, then the car finally shut off. So when the car shut off, I told Dad I'm shutting my car off. I wasn't going to sit there and idle like I did last time. I learned my lesson. So I sat there and shut it off. Well, then he couldn't get the car fired up. And I don't know if it was part of the head games or what he had going on, but I just told Dad, I said, just put him on a 2-minute clock. That's what we have. It is what it is. So he told Boosted to put him on a 2-minute clock. And then that's when he went over there and basically said, you got 2 minutes to figure it out before they go make their pass. I told him I would play by the rules. He gets his 2 minutes. If he can't figure it out, then so be it. I'll sit there and wait. But when 2 minutes is going, I'm going to fire my car up and go. And he finally got it fired up, tried to do a burnout, couldn't get it to do a burnout. And then it shut off again, and the 2-minute clock hit. So I made a solo pass. And then they all got mad at me and all that about it, which I don't really care. But that's just what happened. I mean, I don't know. Should have had your shit ready.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you what argument can be made right there?
Really? He said that we should have gave him more time. That was there.
Well, he tried several times, right? I mean, come on.
And that's what's always going to be said in those situations.
If it was somebody else, I probably would have. If it was somebody else, I probably would have gave him more time. But I was still off of that burn down he gave me a couple races ago. So I just told Dad, I said, you know what, when that thing hits 2, and I did right when it hit 2 minutes. I had my guy have a phone inside my car, and I was sitting there waiting for it. When it hit 2 minutes, there wasn't an extra fucking second. I was actually spinning the motor over as it hit 2 minutes. Like I tell people all the time, that's just when the pettiness comes out. Like I was literally doing it, and they all got mad to do it. So I just took the beams, and me and Dad made a full rip.
I'm curious, Paige. It's much more buttoned up in the NHRA world, right? And this, that's not a shot. That's just the fact of the matter is that it's much more hard and fast lines. There's there's 75 NHRA officials on the starting line of any NHRA national event, no matter really how big or small, right? So what do you make of those situations, Paige? Like, do you anticipate the first time? Do you look forward to that moment when it's not quite the same as your typical stomping ground of the NHRA national event?
Yeah, when Justin said he got 2 minutes, I was like, 2 minutes? I mean, you don't get that over here. They just pat you on the hood and you're like, you're done. Send it back. You're going to get shot. You're screwed.
Sorry, your car didn't start.
Yeah, it's not a thing over there for sure. But, the fact that you were able to give him 2 minutes to at least attempt. And I remember the first time Chuck was just doing his good damn thing. But, I remember that. And, but I like how it's different. I like that you have those opportunities and you have those like main people on the starting line that they kind of run the show. But just having like as that example, the 2 minutes, it's like, I thought that was nice, even after everything between Justin and Chuck. But I was just surprised that the 2 minute thing's an actual thing over there. I'm like, that's so foreign because it's not how we do it over here in NHRA. But it's time to be different.
They're trying to put on a show for the fans as well.
Exactly. I like that. I mean, I think that 2 minutes gives that extra ability for a show. It causes like tension and some drama, but it also could be used to a great advantage when your shit actually does not work. And I've seen it happen to plenty of people. I mean, over in NHRA, you're like, it's unfortunate, and they don't even let you stage at that point. At least
all right,
the other guys go red.
Ours is back. Mine's back on.
Mine's back on. Okay, yeah. So we're getting ready to see this unfold right now, Justin. So that one don't run the tune-up. Do you hold it to the floor?
Here it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Got a lot of tape on that car, Corey.
Well, who's that guy? Who's that guy staging you up, Justin?
That's Brian. He's been with us since the beginning.
For as long as I've seen you guys.
I've never seen you guys out there without him. How do you know him? Like, is he family or something?
Oh no. Well, I mean, he is. He's been with us for fucking 18 years, but he's worked for our company. I think hold on. Let me see what I said here.
Hold it to the floor. They're trying to get him to.
Yeah, so
looks like you made a pretty good rip.
Yeah, no, we did well. We ran fast here. But he's been with us since the beginning. Brian, I mean, he's like family, but he's not because he's just been with us so long for the business and everything. But he's been here, I think, 16 or 17 years. He's been with me my whole racing career.
I hear you talking about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he didn't really have much to say. He knew that.
Oh, wait, did he?
Oh, is that your guy? Was that your guy?
I get it if you're scared. Did you hear, Brian? I get it if you're scared. Totally understand.
I'm glad we had the little, yeah.
Oh, that was hilarious, man. We need to somebody send him some more money. That may have been one of the lines. Sorry if you're scared. Oh, that was classic. Oh my God,
Justin, why you got to blow that thing up and tear up the wrap and stuff, man?
Man, we had a rough season with that car. It was hard. I mean, 15 races.
Trying to make it look good. Trying to keep it look good out there, man.
That's why I tell you, back to back. I mean, it's all done now. I got all the body work and everything finished, and now I just got to get it painted for next year. Yeah, man, it was rough. We had that one explosion in Virginia. That's what started it all, and then I drove all the way to Idaho, and the first rip off, it blew the outer skin of the door off. So it was just going downhill. And then
he just rolled with it.
Oh, yeah.
Dean's ran really well in these things. Like, I mean, he's been right there. And that's a good run right there.
Yeah, I just put duct tape on everything. Anytime I tell people all the time, like duct tape is my friend. Like it keeps everything together. I mean, we had to build. That outside of that door is built off of duct tape and a check. You know how like when you win a race, they give you that check,
a big check,
10 millimeter corrugated plastic.
Baby. You'd have to go more. Got the checks laying around.
So we put one of the checks, cut it out and everything, and then we duct taped on the outside of it and just wrapped it around the inside of the door. The The passenger door weighed 9 pounds more than the driver door. And we ran that all the way to the end of the season. We fucking because we were out west, there was nothing we could do. I couldn't bring the car back home to get Cameron to fix it. So I mean, we just had to run the cars. I mean, we leave from here and go to Texas, and then Texas to fucking Louisiana, and Louisiana to Bradenton, and then after Bradenton, I told Cameron we'll fix it. But
I mean, that's another deal. That's another challenge of this schedule and of the NPK deal. You know, in most other forms of drag racing, you would have had time to fix that, and you would have, had to fix it.
No,
but it's just like, man,
hard.
you got to keep going. It's like a gladiator deal out there.
It's a hard schedule, and they did say next year that they're gonna try to give a week or two or a few weeks in between each race, which would help out tremendously. But this one here, we had to run back to back to back, and that's what made it hard. And you spend a lot more money, especially when you break parts and you got to send stuff off, ship it off, overnight it there, overnight it back home. Like it's a very difficult deal. I mean, I spent over north of 140 grand last year just to run 15 races.
Wes, you remember we were sitting in that media
and good lick right
you remember we were sitting in that media
pretty decent
booth right at the corner, bottom corner of that tower, and a jet car ran and smoke was coming around the windows. I was like, maybe we got to get the hell out of here.
Oh yeah. At Tulsa Raceway Park. Yeah, man. A lot of people that's a great racing surface. A lot of people, a lot of guys test there. Elite Motorsports test there. Pro stock wise, it's a sought after testing facility. So our cars getting faster and faster. Mike Murillo.
He's got a Golden Gorilla shirt on there, doesn't he?
Well, I saw your dad wearing a Golden Gorilla. So, hey, you guys were hanging out with the Millses this past weekend, Justin. I saw you hanging out with those guys.
Oh no, I'm pretty tight with Dwayne and Callie and all them, and we like to have fun and everything. And yeah, they were wearing their shirt because they were having some kind of issues or whatever, but they weren't able to make it to the event or something. So Dad was just trying to support them.
That's cool.
Isky Racing Games. I love it's cool to see all the brands that show up on these t-shirts. You know what I mean? Like it's become a whole thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like who's going to be on your shirt whenever you're on television. I think it's kind of interesting.
Well, that's kind of what these companies are fighting for. I've been involved in some of these negotiations and contracts, and it's like, the standard decal on the car that we all start with, that's well and good, but what they want, you got to wear our shirts, wear a hoodie, wear a hat, because that's really what gets the exposure on this show.
What's your take been on the merch game, Justin? Just like overall, have you been surprised by it? What's your overall take on it? I know Cletus McFarland, one of the first things he tells people, like, make sure your merch game is right. Yep. We've seen a lot of people in our industry make it, do well with merch. What's your take been on that whole situation? I mean, you're obviously doing a lot of merch and have done well with it.
Yeah. I do a lot better online store than I do at the racetrack. I mean, I do well at the racetrack, but my online store is really what keeps me going. Is for the people that are watching online, watching the YouTube videos, they're able to go over there and buy merch. But merch is definitely a big thing. People want to. I say NPK is like NASCAR. People pick a driver and they stick with them. So you got to make sure you have merch to be able to. People can represent because they want to be able to represent you, and they'll wear the shit proud and they'll be loyal to you. So I tell everybody, yes, you definitely got to stay up on your merch game. It makes it hard, especially for these races, because you're racing back to back every weekend. And for me, I race on I know a lot of people don't think I do, but I race on a very tight budget. So for me, it's hard for me to. So there were some events I wasn't able to sell a lot of, where I could have sold a lot more money amount of merch, but I didn't have it with me because I wasn't able to get it to the track in time. But I also, I can't go out and buy enough merch for 5 or 6 events right off rip because I have other shit that I have to pay for, pro line bills, pro chargers, all that. So there were some events that taught me this year that next year I will have enough for every event right up front, and I will be able to handle. I kind of know what I sold this year. I know it's going to be a little bit better next year, so I have a better idea. And then halfway through the season, I'll go ahead and get some more orders and all that in. But merch is definitely big. If you can sell it, I would definitely recommend it.
That's pretty cool to hear that your online deal does better than at the track, because that takes a lot. That takes a lot to build that, and I think that speaks to your presence on social media, how hard you're working at it, some of the unique stuff that you're doing. So that's pretty cool. But that's the whole deal with the merch at the track harkens back to the old days. Just back in like the original pro mod days, like specifically my dad's trailer, 50% of the trailer space was dedicated to t-shirts.
Yep.
Because like tools, leave them on the side of the road. We need those t-shirt bins.
We need to
because that's what's making the money.
We've talked about maybe possibly getting a merch trailer. That's why, and that's another thing that's hard for me. Could I have all the merch at the track and sell it? Sure. But the problem is I would be taking all the merch from my online store where I actually make good money. So
right.
And there's a lot of logistic expenses.
Yeah.
If more
and
diesel
crew.
fuel,
And
more people that you're hiring some chicks, you know what I mean? Whatever. That's a whole thing, right?
For sure. And it all adds up. So there's stuff that I've learned throughout this year that I'll do next year, and hopefully it'll be better. And we'll go from there. Luckily, I have a guy that handles my merch online store, so really I don't have to do nothing. All I gotta do is just promote it and go from there. They handle all my shipments. They get everything ready. They send it out. If I have
that's the way to do it.
Yeah, if I have to sign posters or whatever, I'll fly up. I'll sign 1,000 posters or whatever, and then I'll fly back home so they're ready. But that's why I try to tell people all the time, like, none of my signatures are not stamped on. They're not done all that. Anything that is done with my brand or me is through me. Just like my social medias. I don't have people that run my social medias. There's a lot of drivers out there. There's nothing wrong with it, but they have people that run their stuff. When they comment on stuff, you could kind of tell that, especially if you know that person, you could tell that they wouldn't say something like that. It's because somebody else is running their social media. And so that's where I tell people all the time, I think that separates me a little bit from others, is that whenever you see me comment, when you see me send a message or you see me doing something, it's legitimately me. I'm on social media all day long. I respond back to almost everybody. I try to be, and if I can't get to them, I tell them to drop another comment, drop another message, do something. I'll get to it sooner or later. It's got to the point now where there's 20, 30,000 of them and there's one of me. So but I've always said that I'll always control my own stuff, no matter how big it gets.
I think it's important to hear because that's like fairly few and far between over on the NHRA side, right, Paige? I mean,
Yeah.
it's so much of it is controlled by a hired PR person.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And you can tell which drivers have that and which don't. That was always one aspect that made me super excited about coming over to MPK, was being able to do my social media on my own and it really standing out. And I mean, yes, I've had help from Woody. He's been just huge help to me because, I've never done something like this before. And he's really shown me like, hey, maybe you should try this instead of this. And, it has worked. So I'm like, I'm learning, but that and the apparel too, like you can't sell that kind of stuff out of the back of your trailer like you can at MPK. That's not how it works. You got to do the trailers, and NHRA gets a percentage of it. So when I first learned about the apparel and then went to a race, I was like, man, this is so cool that you could walk up to a driver and go purchase a shirt or a hat or something, and it's just really cool. It makes it a lot more personable, and just that's what I was also really excited about, that aspect.
I think it's awesome. I mean, if the NHRA wanted to like appease 1,000 racers overnight, they'd be like, you know what? Just sell your shirts. Sell your shirts.
They won't do that.
But they won't do it. They won't ever do it, man.
They're too greedy.
Yeah, they won't ever do it. And I understand that they've got, it's their sandbox, and we're coming to play in it. I totally understand. But I mean, being fair, I agree with you, Justin. I mean, like I think there's a happy medium somewhere.
I come from a different background and a different race, but I don't understand it because really they're nothing against NHRA guys or whatever, but the fans aren't there to see the 5 white dudes that's up in the tower. just sitting there.
Hey, there's no argument there.
They're there to
agree
see they're there to
100%.
see the racers. So that's where I think NPK does over that, because no, they don't get none of our stuff. They let us do whatever they want, and if you are out of line, they'll let you know. But for the most part, Sam and all them, they allow us to do whatever.
And I think that stems, man. Sam came to the Drag Illustrated Pro Mod Summit that took place Friday morning at PRI, and I remember being impressed, not by anything more than I was his just confidence in his presence. And I think sometimes that's what the NHRA lacks a little bit. Is it's like, why are you worried about some guys making money selling T-shirts? Like, that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make big checks. We're trying to secure the bag over here. We're Discovery Channel. You know what I mean? We're Pilgrim Studios. You know,
he wasn't afraid to hop up on stage too and talk pro mod top.
Yeah, I think that's what Wes is saying.
That's really cool. I thought.
As far as his
do you know what I mean?
in
Like,
his presence,
because he's going, I'm not trying to sell $10,000 in T-shirts this weekend, right? I'm trying to sell broadcasting rights to this show for $10 million. Right. You know what I mean? So he recognizes, like, hey, let Justin Swanstrom, let Ryan Martin, let these guys sell. I hope they make all the money in the world, because if they're making a ton of money, I should be making that's a ton of money times 100.
I think his main takeaway of our deal was that he was impressed with all these different tracks, sanctioning bodies, people representing all these different forms of pro mod racing, talking about working together, and he was all for it. And you would think someone that really has the market cornered right now and has everything to lose by, more toes dipping into the water, would be against that. But he's all for it. I think he sees the big picture of the growth that can be had. He understands NPK's role in that. And then just the fact that he said, when we started this deal, I didn't even know what drag racing was. He said, I didn't know what drag racing was.
He said, what's a pro mod? It's drag racing.
What is drag racing?
And he's learned a lot.
Yeah.
He's learned a lot, and that's why. And I've only known Sam a couple of years, and I go to him a lot for a lot of my decisions, because I know he genuinely cares about what he's doing. That's one thing I do like about him, and he'll even tell you there's enough out there for everybody to have a piece, and that's one good thing about him.
That. Well, that's a big picture mentality, not a scarcity mentality, which is honestly one of the biggest problems that drag racing faces at all levels. But now he's to the point now where he's been doing this so long now that he actually understands racing, and he understands how to promote it and how to do this. What went wrong with the cars, and like even mine, when something would break, like he would come up and ask me questions. He's like, man, I kind of already know, but he goes, what exactly happened? And you just tell him, and he's like, yeah. He goes, well, you just get it next time. So like, he's supportive of everything out there and what's going on. So that's what separates him from the others, is that he's never going to be that greedy type. He's going to make sure everything, because if you're doing good, he's doing good. That's how I take it. If I'm doing everything right and I'm out there doing good, I'm making money, he's making money. So that's where it comes in good, and he'll never step on mine or anybody else's toes.
Have you had some of these conversations with Sam too, Paige?
A little bit, yeah. I met him at PRI, and it was awesome meeting him, and I'm starting to learn more about it. We didn't get to chat for long. We actually met right after the 30 under 30 ceremony, but everyone was running around and getting pictures and everything, which was awesome, by the way. Love seeing that. But it was really awesome to talk to him. You could see that he genuinely cared about NPK and just the sport in general, and just knowing that is someone who is in charge that cares that much was just really exciting, because when you race in NHRA, there's just those other people that are higher up there, like the president and the other officials that are running that, and you don't get to have those deeper conversations or more personable conversations with them,
which is sad.
Even though that conversation with Sam was short, it felt different. It just felt more like one-on-one and more authentic than the professional side of NHRA, where it's cut and dry and that's about it. You know what I mean?
I think it's cool because, I mean, like, we've already got, I just saw this a few seconds ago. Someone in the comments says, where's it at? I want to hear more Paige.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Right.
So,
and
I just think
that's
Paige is smart. She's listening and learning.
No, but
MGB
yeah.
Chuck. Yeah. And to your point, Paige, Glenn Cromwell, and who else was there? Who was with Glenn?
John Siragusa.
John Siragusa. They were both there listening, at least for part of the deal. So I think they're hearing more and more of this, and they're listening more. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting deal.
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting. All right, here we are down to what, the semifinals, or what are we at? The quarterfinals right here. Yeah. So you got Mike Bowman, former winner of the biggest Pro Mod drag race in the history of the known universe, the Drag Illustrated World Series of Pro Mod, $100,000 to win on Thunder Mountain. He won our first ever event, the first big Pro Mod race we put on, Justin. We put up $100,000 on Thunder Mountain, and here you are going against him, the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Bowman.
Yeah, he's a
great guy.
Yeah, no. I like Mike. I've ran him a couple times this year. He's a laid back type person, but
you put a couple car links on him right there.
I did, man.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a big Mike Bowman fan, but yeah, that was hard to watch for the West Coast.
We ran well here. We lose next round, but I lose to my nemesis. I'm telling you, I'm changing that next year. It's done and over with. I told everybody, I don't care who else I run. I don't care if I win another event, but Ryan ain't driving away from me again. So I plan on. We're already figuring out what we're doing. We're testing. We're figuring out, but I'll be prepared next year.
Oh yeah, and Chris is making a great point. Mike Bowman has been a turbo guy, like the turbo guy, twin turbo pro mod dude for a long time. He's made his name racing a twin turbo car. So he did make the change midway through the season to switch from a twin turbo combination to the Pro Charger combination. And he told me in Texas, like, man, more manageable power, more raceable. That's what we hear a lot about the Pro Charger combination. Paige, I know you're going to bring that combination to the table in 2022. Justin, having raced with a bunch of nitrous stuff, really high performing, like front running nitrous combinations, I'm just curious on your take of the raceability conversation. Is that something you agree with, having raced the nitrous car, the white Camaro in no prep, and switch into the Pro Charger car? Is that combination, in your opinion, more raceable?
For sure. I mean, the Pro Charger is 10 times easier than a nitrous car. Me and Dad joke about it all the time. Anybody can race a Pro Charger. Anybody can tune a Pro Charger. It's the simplest shit out there. But I mean, it takes you gotta. I tell people all the time, and Dad does most of the tuning, but I mean, Lizzie, Kai, you got Bird Boys, and we used to do it too. Nitrous applications are probably the hardest to tune out there. Getting them to run, make sure they live, make sure they don't burn up. I mean, the Pro Charger has been easy for us. Yes, it makes great power. It does well. You gotta get it figured out. Just like any other combination, you could throw a bunch of timing to it. You can fucking kick the tires. You gotta get a plot. But once it's set, I mean, it basically almost does everything identical every run. I mean, even with the alcohol and stuff, like my nitrous motors, you used to have to come back to the pitch. You'd have to cool everything down, get the engine down to 39 degrees, then go out there and make a pass. Like the Pro Charger, you could hot lap that thing. It don't even fucking care. Like it could be 100, it could be 180 degrees, and it just it goes out there and it runs the same number again. Like it doesn't matter. It's just there. And the only time it acts up is if the fucking Pro Charger breaks. Like then it decides it doesn't want to run. But for the most part, I mean, it's once you get it figured out in some kind of baseline, you're good to go. You just let go of the button, and hopefully. Now I will tell you this: it is a lot different torque wise than a nitrous car is. I tell people with a nitrous car, I've been pretty fast in an RVW and with a nitrous car. It has a lot of torque down low, but when it gets to a certain point in the track, it stops pulling. D meter falls off, and you're just along for the ride, and hopefully you get to the other end. With a boost car and a Pro Charger, it pulls the whole entire way. Like I tell people all the time, like in my car, I wish people could get in it and like drive it because like your vision gets all blurry. You're pulling fucking 3.4, 3.5 G going down the track. With the 5-speed in the car, because there's so much air pressure being dumped out. If there's any kind of dirt or sand in the car, it turns into like a mini tornado. Like the inside of my car is like a fucking rave party. Like it's cool. If I ever
It's
put
cool.
like if I ever put like a disco ball, and I realized I could have like a party inside the car because there's a lot of shit going on. And
that'd be great for fans, man.
Sell
tickets. Just sell tickets.
I try to tell people all the time, like I run the lights on in the car. That's like you'll see next weekend at Texas. I have GoPros in the car, and you'll even see them in this episode here with the GoPros in the car. Most cars that you see, the car is dark on the inside. You can't see nothing when it's getting nighttime. So I told Dad, I said, fuck it, I'm gonna try it. We'll see what happens. So I turned all the lights on inside the car and fucking made passes, but because I wanted to get the content, I wanted people to be able to see what I see and go all that. So it was pretty cool. And to go through here. Another thing I did was I don't think anybody's been live inside a car yet. So I made a half-ass mount inside the car.
Keith Berry did it one time.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He did the No Time car. I remember that.
Yeah, he did. Remember that?
So I put a half-ass mount in the car and fucking went live on Facebook and made a pass while I was live. Like just do different stuff to try to. You got to do stuff that makes you separate yourself from the others.
Are you excited about that stuff, Paige, to like have the opportunity to do those things and try, because like that's, I mean, it's funny, Justin, to hear you say that. Like if any of that even attempted to happen in an NHRA like pro level category, there would be heads exploding inside the tower.
And there's been times that we've been and listen, all our events are at NHRA sanctioned tracks and all that. And every once in a while you'll get one of the tech guys. He'll come over. Like one of the guys come over one time and was teching my car, and the car was brand new. Like it's certified, everything was good. And he's like, "You need a transmission tunnel. We're not gonna allow you to go down the track." And I was like, "Bro, this ain't fucking NHRA." I said, we're gonna go ahead and make our rip. I go, but it's got all the bars and everything in.
We're gonna go ahead and run the car.
I said I don't need a carbon fiber transmission tunnel. Which I mean I get it's safe, but at the other thing, I really don't think it's safe because if something decides it wants to come out of the transmission, I guarantee the fucking 1/4-inch carbon fiber they're not gonna say, okay, let me go ahead and save you. Yeah. It's gonna go wherever it wants to go. So but there's sometimes it gets like that. There's a lot of difference between, and I've never ran NHRA, but just listening to people. And like I think Wes, you told me the one time when they had that staging duel and they backed the cars off the track and told them to go back to the end, and I said that was probably the worst thing they could have done. They were starting to have just a little bit of there was a little bit of controversy going on there, and there was fans actually excited about it, and you basically told them, hey, just go back to your pit.
Nope.
You're done.
No
so
fun.
Like,
no fun allowed.
Then you go right back to running 656 with a 4 and a 656 with a 3 at 209 mile an hour. Everybody runs the same.
I think it's true, man, because and we see it from time to time, and everybody has a different, opinion about that type of stuff. Like, does it belong in the NHRA? Do we need more of that? Do we not? Is that the difference between all this stuff? Personally, like we're seeing it right here, like Chuck on the center line or I was actually there during this, him standing on the A boards, waving his arms up at the Texas Motorplex. And at one point, Justin, whenever Ryan Martin was racing Robin Roberts and there was like points implications and whatever, you were egging the crowd on. And I just think that man, that stuff, that's not a bad deal. We need a little bit more of that, in my opinion.
Sure.
Like pro level drag racing would benefit a lot from letting some emotion show through.
They need to. I mean, the whole sport is about emotion. Paige came out to one of the races. Where the hell were we at? I think it was Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Maple Grove.
Yeah. So, and she was like when everything was going on, and I was like, she's like, well, we don't get to get excited, and I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't get to get excited? And she's like, well, you kind of got to hold your emotions in. You're not really allowed to express yourself. I was like, well, if you ever come over here, shit's definitely going to change because you could be getting cussed at, you could be getting yelled at, you could be fucking high-fiving something. Like it's kind of like Florida. We go through all 4 seasons in one day. I mean, you can go through fucking 10 different personalities in one pass. Like it's just so much shit that goes on, and it's so relatable to the average viewer in the eye. That's why I think they do so well with it.
Clearly doing really, it's cool to see. For me, it's funny that I've been blown away by how much automotive programming exists on Discovery Channel. Mike, does that ever blow your mind,
channel.
JT? It's like the entire channel. Like you turn it on,
Yeah.
and from like all day long, 24 hours a day, there's people doing burnouts or at least like carrying impact wrenches around.
And they're trying different things. Like I mean, of course, we know all the spinoffs they've had off this show, but that's they realize this worked. So
Paige, have y'all?
We're gonna try it in Memphis. We're gonna try it in New Orleans. We're gonna try, Fastest in America.
JJ the Boss
or
whatever. Yeah.
I mean,
Paige, have y'all came up with a name for the car?
I think
Daddy's money.
Don't do that.
Not quite, no.
I'm joking.
Well, mine's trust fund, so don't take that one either.
No, it's not that one. I think mine's probably better than that.
What is it? Go ahead and drop it out. We're here.
In the photos I've posted so far, that the car's original paint color is like that candy apple, like orange color, and it's so beautiful, and it's really hard to paint match. So we're gonna paint over it, but I think I'm gonna leave some aspects of it out, and we're gonna call it Golden Child.
That is actually not bad.
Yeah.
I
missed it.
Hey,
I missed
Golden
it.
Child.
Golden
Child.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I got to tell you what. I think Golden Child may stick. Golden Child is probably going to stick. I think that's a home run.
That'll be pretty good right there. It'll go good with merch too.
Are you still selling the Kai Kelly shirts that you're going to send to him, or someone just asked him?
Yeah, they've already been sent
the far end
to them. There's I think there was like 210 or 215 shirts, and we shipped them. We shipped them in five shirts at a time, so they got different days.
Oh no!
I thought sure it was in there.
So we fucking.
We're up here. They're doing the chip draw right now for the semis. You got 3 Pro Chargers and 1 nitrous car, Lizzie. And I believe Lizzie's won 2 in a row, and she's going for number 3 here, possibly, right?
Yeah, this is when we get back into good air and she gets her ass beat.
Oh, okay. But I mean, it's still impressive to come back with that car after the crash and
and
go to 3 in a row. Back. And like you said, nitrous is hard to run, but it seems like when you get it,
Wes.
When you get it tuned up.
I got one.
There it is.
Do you think that the nitrous cars, at least in this series with the rules,
for sure,
everything being equal, have the most power?
Tell Pat to quit fucking sandbagging. Their cars are too light. I tell people all the time. I mean, you can't take no more weight off of them because you got a steel roof, steel quarter car. You can't even get down. Really, most of them can't even get down to that weight. But they are too fucking light. I tell people all the time, you base it off of PDRA rules. I think Halsey's been, a 359 at 2450? That's what they got to run at PDRA. They only have to run 100 pounds heavier over here in No Prep King. So you're telling me the car can't go 375 with 100 pounds on it? If they can't, they need to work on it.
I think it probably comes down to consistency.
Look how close this race was.
Car.
I was so fucking mad. This race came down to like a couple inches at the end. They even went into the tower and shit and fucking try to figure out. I hate when races are like that.
I changed shirts.
There you go.
There we go.
Your boy's cheering. He thinks you got it.
Oh shit! It's a nice shirt, Wes.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it fits well. Hey, I literally thought of that. Like, I thought of that on the fly. I fucking I everybody was throwing the whole snitch thing out there, and I was like, I was sitting there, I was just laying in bed, and I called my merch guy. I'm like, yo, I want to sell a shirt. I go, this is it. So I said, give me an hour. So I got on fucking Photoshopped some shit up real quick, threw it over to him, sent him an email. And I said, print these. I said, let's see how many we sell first. And then however many we sell, then we'll print them out the following week and ship them out. And he's like, all right, cool. So I think we sold like 500 off in like the first, I don't know, 10 hours of Justin is a snitch. And then I told him, I said, you know what? I want to be petty. I said, put it on there for half the price. If they fucking buy it, we'll ship it straight to Kai. And then I think we sold like another 200, 210 right off rip. So like, and then they were so fucking mad. Like even Kai called Ryan and he's like, this motherfucker just made a shirt. Like I tell people get mad that like I come up with dumb stuff and I mean it's dumb, but
It's
also
hilarious,
I think it's
though.
pretty fucking
It's
smart.
hilarious.
Like it's hilarious.
Yeah.
And I actually got the idea from fucking Jake Paul. Like I'm a huge Paul Brothers fan. And when he stole the hat from Mayweather and he made the shirt that said
Stole
"Got your hat,"
yeah,
and
yeah,
stole
got
your hat, like
yeah.
I was like, you know what? I want to do the same thing. So I just took it and I've been waiting for somebody else to say some dumbass shit so I can like I even I got a deal launching next week and nobody knows about this yet, but I got a Daddy's Money coin coming out with it's like an actual like serious coin type deal, but it's gonna be dope. But people will be able to buy it, and it'll just be a Swan Gang Daddy's Money coin, and
That's cool.
Just dumb stuff, but people will buy it, and it helps.
You need to do like a pinky ring.
A pinky ring?
You know, like a super dope Swan Gang pinky ring.
You need to start a Swan cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
I wish I knew. That's one thing I want to get. I wish I knew how. Like I just learned a little bit about NFTs and stuff this weekend.
I'm in on NFTs.
I don't know how any of it works. Just like I don't know how stocks work. Like all these people talking about how like I waste money all the time on dumb shit. Like I wish I could just waste money and it possibly make me money. But like I don't understand how it works.
I buy stocks.
So, like,
I know just enough to get me in trouble. You know, like
so that's why like I don't do it. Like I put like $1,000 in Bitcoin like a year ago or some shit. I don't even remember my password and stuff to even know what's good and what's bad. Like just dumb stuff. But I mean, just that I wish I did know more about that. That's one thing that I wish I did know more about. And then I've been hearing a lot about these NFTs and how they're making money. But
NFTs are huge. I mean, they're coming on in sports. I think racing needs to get on board with that. That could be a big thing. It could be a big thing for someone like you and your audience.
See, but I don't even know what the hell you could do with that. Like I talked to Sam a lot about it. Like Sam's big into it and like his certain stuff. And I even asked him like, but what is it? And then like he'll explain it, and then I'm like, but what is it? Like there's nothing. I guess it's not.
It's a one-off item. It's trying to replicate like priceless art or whatever, where there's only one of them, like the Mona Lisa, but it's digital. So it's a digital item that only you or whoever buys it can own. So
and it can only be bought with blockchain currency, right? Right. Mm-hmm. So it can only be bought with like cryptocurrency. So it's like a piece of content, like or a piece of art or a photo, or there's Gary Vaynerchuk's got like a whole community for it where you can go create, you know, like a piece of art that can be bought for these obscene amounts of money because it's like people
it doesn't have to be art though. It can be just
have to be art.
Tokens, like that coin you were just talking about. That could be an NFT.
Could be NFT.
Yeah.
WTF.
Yeah.
OMG.
What
the fuck are you guys talking about?
Getting a little deep over here.
My God.
Hey man, it's a whole thing, man. People are making big
shit.
money.
I just seen
stuff.
We just seen one dude fucking. He made like $62 million off one NFT, and I'm like how? Like, what did he do?
You're like WTF?
Yeah.
Like WTF? OMG.
Like I'm not too jealous of a lot of. I'm not too jealous of a lot of people, but I was jealous of the dude. He's like fucking 22, 23. Like he just designed this deal and then sold it, I guess. I'm like, okay.
Okay. No, it's quite interesting.
Curtis Thomas, our homeboy, has a good example. He says you could make an in-car video and sell it as an NFT instead of posting it online. So like one of your fans would pay $500 or $1,000 or whatever, $2,000 to have this video, and they're the only one that has it. and
Tell
no one
him-
else owns it.
Wes, get him linked up with me.
But that's
You'll
actually a
love
fairly solid example. Curtis
Yeah,
is
but
a
I mean,
great
that's
guy.
just an
I will.
example. I don't know how you execute it or make it or get on board with this deal, but that's just like the concept.
Yeah, tell Curtis. Tell Curtis Justin wants to meet him.
If Josh Williams asks if Ryan started his own team, would Justin join it?
No.
I didn't think you would say so. What do you think of an all-girl team, Paige? We saw that.
Yeah, we hit a
thrown
lot
up
of the,
there
a lot of the
several
comments
times.
are what team are you going to be on if and when you make it to the Invitational?
That's a great question. First of all, an all-girls team, that would be pretty interesting to see. That's very different, you know. I mean, there's a lot of women starting to really become dominant in the drag racing industry, so I think that's definitely something that would gain attention. But looking at other teams, you know, I'm still like learning about the whole team process deal. You know, I mean, it's something that's foreign to me. The only thing I can personally relate to is like the Jegs All Stars teams we would all do. But you know, I know that through Mike Reese, he has some friends over in the 405 for sure, and he knows Steve Petty, and there are a few connections there. But I guess it's just I don't know how you get on a team. I think that's stuff I need to learn more about, but it'd be interesting to see like how that all works out.
How do you get on a team, Justin? Do you know? Or you just make your own?
They ask you, right?
Yeah, you kind
I
of get asked, and
I figured they just asked you like, could you join our team? So I guess it's like it's not really up to me.
It'll be more like to where you're from. Like you're from Ohio, so I mean, if you do get invited up, I think you'll possibly be asked by
Disco Dean or something.
Yeah, because they try to keep everybody in the same. They try to keep everybody from the same area.
That makes sense. It's like divisions.
Yeah.
Buck the
Like-
system,
Yeah.
Justin. Take her in.
Do what?
Said buck the system and take her in.
I plan on it next year. I just can't talk about it.
Oh, I got smiles from both of them right there. Well, guys, seriously, Justin, I know this wasn't even scheduled. Thank you so much for your time. Paige, 2 hours on the World Wide Web here with us in front of a camera, on camera. Justin's used to this. The three of us are used to staring into a camera multiple times a week. So thank you for doing this with us tonight. I hope you had fun. You kind of got thrown into the deep end right off the bat.
It's been a blast. It's actually my first time ever doing something like this. So I was extremely excited. You know, it was with Drag Illustrated, my second family, but it's been a really fun time and I really enjoyed this. Thank you for having me.
Did great.
And yeah, you really did great.
An old pro.
Justin, I mean, do you think she's got what it takes?
Yeah, I think she's going to do well. Like I just said, the biggest thing for her right now is to be original. Don't try to, and I know she's not going to, but that's why I try to tell everybody, don't try to fake it and try to just be yourself, and you'll be strides ahead. And even if people don't agree with you, don't try to change your way of thinking just because you want to let that person over there accept you, because then the next person's going to like you. So whoever likes you, whoever doesn't like you, but they're still going to watch you. So that's the way I look at it. And that's the way I think I've been pretty successful with it. Half the people have to love you. Half the people have to hate you. But at the end of the day, they're all going to watch you. So as long as you have that mentality, have thick skin and get some seat time, I think you'll be all right. But you plan on coming to fuck with me, and I'm going to go ahead and drag your ass. So I'm letting you know that.
You know, it's going to be
Thanks,
fun.
nice and subtle.
Nice and
I
subtle.
have some confidence that I can beat ass,
the
so
fucking
it'll be fun.
that yellow, the black, and the orange looks phenomenal. But I'm gonna paint a fucking white stripe right down the center of it.
You wish. Your car might be even more yellow and black than you think. So
Well, black would definitely match the duct tape.
There you go.
that's what we're talking about.
Thank you guys. Seriously, the both of you, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate it. JT, Mike, another Monday night in the books. I want to remind everybody the last Wes Buck show of 2021 coming up this Wednesday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I think, are we going to do an ugly Christmas sweater party?
Christmas
is that what
sweater.
it is?
Ugly
Festive.
Christmas
Ugly
sweater.
Christmas
Yep.
sweater
I'm gonna
party
get some eggnog.
Wednesday.
Hey, Boosted
You're gonna
GT
drink
said-
eggnog?
I don't know. I'm gonna try. I don't know if I've
Hell
ever
yeah,
really
let's drink
tried
some
it.
eggnog out of the moose
Okay.
glasses, like from Christmas vacation.
Here you
Where's
go.
it at?
There we go.
Oh, is this Paige? Next time, drop a cuss word or two.
That's
Is
what
that
I
what
said.
you're looking for?
Yeah.
She did. She
Yeah,
dropped
she
a
did.
couple shits in here.
Paige,
That didn't sound right.
Can we hear? Can we hear
You
you
dropped
say
a couple
damn?
shits.
I didn't mean that.
Yeah, I didn't mean it like that, did you?
That's not what I meant to say.
Paige, can we hear? Can we hear you say? Can we hear you say a cuss word?
I just swore at you. Should have
What'd
been
you say?
listening.
She's not going to do it on command.
I said
She's not
kicked
going to
her
do it on
ass.
command.
There
Did
she
you hear
went.
that? Ass.
Oh, there you
there
go.
she
Ass.
went. There she went. There
gra-
she went. Hey,
She's
You
graduating.
heard me cuss too many times, Justin. It's fine.
I get cussed out every day by her, like every day. Like
Well, you continued to give me reasons to be like, I just want to stop this.
Yeah,
sometimes.
for it.
I'm like, what the hell?
Man.
hell yeah. I think she'll be all right though.
Thanks,
She'll do
guys.
well.
she's going to
Thank
do
you. I
well.
appreciate it.
Paige, we're going to be cheering you on. Justin, you know we're always cheering you on. You're a longtime friend of part of the Drag Illustrated family. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Remember to follow us on Drag Illustrated. Subscribe to the Drag Illustrated YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook,
Justin
on
has a new
Twitter, on
podcast.
Instagram. Justin's got a brand new podcast, The Swan Cast. It's on YouTube as well. This kid is killing it
Dude, it's
over
doing
there.
awesome.
So make sure you're taking that in and join us this Wednesday. And of course, subscribe to Drag Illustrated magazine or log on to dragillustrated.com. 16 years strong, the biggest drag racing magazine on the planet Earth. We'd love to have you join our extended family. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit share. Thank you guys all for being a part of this. JT, shut her down, big dog.
Thank you.
See y'all
Thank
later.
you guys.
See you. Thank y'all.
Thank you all.
See ya.